Trinity was the only black high school in Limestone County before it closed in 1970. Our reporter Jasmine Bird shows us the history of what's said to be one of the most historical spots in Limestone County.
Behind me, you see the Athens Clinton Street Courthouse Annex, and long before this courthouse was built, it was Trinity School. Trinity was a school for the children of former slaves, and this behind me is where it all began.
The school was established right here in 1865, primarily through the efforts of a white woman, Miss Mary Fletcher Wells. Trinity Hall was built here in 1881 through 1882 as a joint effort by the American Missionary Society and local African Americans who handmade and laid the bricks for the building.
Now, the building burned in 1907, and it was rebuilt the following year on the old Civil War fort site west of town here in Athens, which is where we're headed next.
We made it to the old Civil War fort site where the Pincham Lincoln building is now located.
It is named Pincham and Lincoln, and both Eugene Pincham and Dr. C. Eric Lincoln were graduates of Trinity, and they wrote extensively about their time here at Trinity and all of the great teachers that they were taught up under.
Meet Athens Limestone Community Association members Carolyn Williams, Charlotte Fulton, Dr. Barbara Clemens, and Della Darby. ALCA is a board made up of Trinity High School graduates and other community leaders. Trinity, which closed in 1970, was the only black high school in Limestone County. The board works toward preserving the history and legacy of Trinity.
This is the school that was built here in 1908 when the school moved from the downtown location after the first school burned, the one that they had built.
Fulton says this spot had been a fort that the Union soldiers built.
And so it's probably the most historical spot in Limestone County.
And until the 1940s, there was no bus transportation to the black schools.
This was the black high school, so you had to have some kind of resources, either that or you had to be willing to walk.
While doing research, Fulton says they learned that in 1940, a student who lived in East Limestone walked 6 miles to school and 6 miles home.
He had several brothers and sisters, and as they walked to school, the white school bus would pass, and they would put the windows down and jeer at them and throw things at them. And so sometimes when they got to school, they would have whatever the students had thrown on them. Sometimes it was rotten tomatoes. And he said there were times when he had to sit in the furnace room and dry off before he could go to class.
There is more history and many more stories where that came from, and ALCA hopes to put them on display.
This is our old band room, and it was great to save because it was intact and probably one of the last structures to be built on the site. We envision the Trinity History Center.
The deep roots and history of Trinity could continue on for days, but ALCA's mission is to continue telling the story and the history of Trinity because
we have great information that we want shared with our children and their children's children. We want the legacy to live on.
in the next couple of months, they'll be doing the engineering to lay out their blueprint to file for the museum grant. In Athens, Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.